Okay, before we get started, this account was created to provide information on how current immigration laws apply to certain factual scenarios. There are many people, I suspect, who are worried about their immigration situation but are not sure if they should speak with an immigration attorney. Keep in mind, and I cannot stress this enough, that immigration law is unbelievably fact-specific. So even if the hypothetical that I analyze here sounds nearly identical to your situation, you still need to speak to an immigration attorney. These smallest factual differences can change everything. That said, this is not legal advice. I'm merely hoping to educate some people on how the immigration laws work, because I know that a lot of anxiety exists out in certain immigrant communities. Also, immigration laws and procedures will likely change significantly over the next few months, so what might be accurate and current at the time of recording could be outdated in the weeks to come or even tomorrow. All right, so this woman came to the United States in 2000 at the age of 9. She entered illegally through the desert from Mexico. Her father and mother were never married. Although this woman was born in Mexico, her mother was actually born in the United States and has a U.S. birth certificate. The father was never involved. The mother moved to Mexico shortly after her birth. She came back to the United States for a brief period around the age of 10 until she was 14 when she moved back to Mexico and later gave birth. This woman, the daughter, married a U.S. citizen in 2015 and had 2 children with him, and the couple wants to know if they can legalize her status. Okay, so we've gone over a few times the process for legalizing through a U.S. citizen's spouse if there's an illegal entry initially. So that would be available to her to do a waiver and process that way. However, the interesting thing about this particular situation is that her mother is actually a U.S. citizen. So the United States recognizes citizenship by blood and by soil, meaning if one of your parents is a U.S. citizen, that can result in you being a U.S. citizen, even if you're born outside the United States, okay? And then obviously everyone knows that currently you are allowed to, you would be a U.S. citizen if you were born in the United States, regardless of your parents' nationality and citizenship. Now, there are rules on when citizenship transfers by blood, okay? So in this case, we would need to show that the mother, who was a U.S. citizen, lived in the United States for a period of at least 1 year continuously before the daughter was born, okay? So in this case, we know that the mother was in the United States from the age of 10 to 14. And that might have been many, many years ago, decades ago. So we would need to be able to locate some documentation to show that that's the case. So we might be able to find school records, okay? We might be able to find old medical records that she might have had from doctor's appointments or anything like that. Those would be the first 2 places we would look, and obviously we'd talk to the client to try and get a better feel for, okay, well, what was going on during those years from 10 until 14, and figure out if we can obtain any documents, whether they're government documents or school records, anything like that, to prove that. If we are able to prove that that the mother was in the United States for more than 1 year, and we can document that, then we don't need to deal with the green card process. We don't need to deal with a waiver. We don't need to deal with a trip to Ciudad Juarez. We can go straight to applying for her citizenship certificate and show, look, the mother was a citizen. Here's the proof she was here for more than a year. Therefore, the daughter's a citizen, even though she was born in Mexico. These cases don't come along too often, but when they do, they're interesting cases to work on, and you can get them processed generally in less than a year. I think the last one we did was a few months back, and it was processed in less than a year. So it's a lot quicker than the 4 years plus that it takes to get a waiver and go to Juarez to do your interview. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Otherwise, you can call our office, set up a time if you want to speak about your situation. Good luck.